Hello, it's Eugenie. I'm back again for another episode of Violin Technique with Eugenie, and today's video is going to be the continuation of last week's video, which was shifting. Last week's video was called Shifting Part 1, which I'll link in the description below. So I'd suggest you watch that one first because it's more of an introduction and explains things so you'll understand them more in this video. But in the last video, Shifting Part 1, I talked about the first method of shifting I use, which is methodical, and we use helping notes called pivot notes. But in today's video I'm going to talk about the second method of shifting, which is more of a glissando-like shift, and it has less of a real proper methodical approach, but it's also equally used as much as the first type of shift. So let's get into it. The second type of shift I wanted to talk to you about is the more glissando slidey kind of shift, which is, for example, if you want to create a certain emotional effect. For example, there's a part in the second movement of Tchaikovsky Concerto at the end where it's like that. So you'll usually know where this type of shift fits in. For example, if you're going really high from one extreme, like I just showed you, we're going from quite the first position to really high position. So you don't always, unless it's a really slow shift. In this case, it's quite a fast shift, so we don't usually do that so much. Because when you're in the moment, you don't tend to think of it exactly that way. So because it's faster. So when we do this, it also creates drama, this kind of sliding effect. So basically, what I do, because for example, I'm going to stick with this example, which is a first finger G in second position on the A string, so to a high B flat at the top of the E string. So what I did is the finger I shift on is the finger that I want to play the high note with, which was my third finger. So because here is really convenient for me, is that if I go, this is also a B flat, which is the octave below what the B flat that I want to play. So I use, after I finish playing the first finger, I put my third finger down straight away, conveniently on the B flat, and just shift like that. Shift from this B flat to this B flat, and you can have a slide. So like that. So that kind of thing is really useful because you just use each, say for example, that kind of thing. Usually the reason why we do these shifts is because it happens conveniently to be like I showed you, like that. It happens to be fitting in well that you can put your third finger down and then go straight there, and always remembering the elbow movement and arm movement, because it really helps you find the note way easier. Because actually when you utilize this whole action, it's really good to practice. Like similar to you can practice the same exercise. If you watched my vibrato video, I said practice this movement. This movement is really useful for also shifting practice on every string with every finger, because if you are making sure that your left arm is moving inwards and together with the movement of your hand, then it's really good. So I recommend practicing that as well. Not so you kill two birds with one stone. It helps with vibrato and shifting. So why not? So you can try that. Another good thing to remember is that we use the bow in different ways when we shift. Sometimes we have a shift during a slur, so then it's important not to make the pivot. If we're talking about, so we've gone back to the first type of shifting with the pivot notes, so it's important not to make, if you're doing it in a slur, what we don't want to do is make the pivot note an extra note in what we're trying to play. The pivot note is just for our heads and our fingers to guide us. We just want to hear like that. And then similarly with the glissando one, the second type of shift, if you're doing it, or even with the pivot note, it depends on what kind of mood you're trying to create. But sometimes we do the shift in the bow if we want to make it an effect. So, for example, something like that. But if we want to, if we don't want to make it too much of an effect, because we don't always like to hear sliding, so we like to do clean shifts. Sometimes we can do the shift between the bow change, like that. Or sometimes we do it in the previous bow. We do the shift in the previous bow, for example, like that. But it's generally good to do it in between the bow change, because then we get a less shifting, messy sound. Whenever you do even any type of shifting, not just same finger shifts, you always need to make sure the main rules are the elbow movement, with your arm moving with your wrist and hand, and also springy articulation in the left hand. What I mean by that is like your fingers are hammers, and so our fingers are energetic and springy and active. And when we do a shift, for example, or any type of shift, the finger you're shifting with should never lift off the fingerboard. It should always slide, which is why it's good to practice this kind of thing. It should always slide across the string without pressing, so it doesn't have to be, you don't have to press really hard while you're shifting. So you shouldn't press like this. The shift should be like you're just gliding on top of the string. Yeah, that's a good one. Gliding on top of the string, literally like that, but not like that. Just, if you can see, I'll put my bow down. You're literally gliding on top of the string. So if you can see, like this. Not gliding on top of the string like this, just sliding on top, not lifting, not going like that, just neatly like that, not pressing down, just gliding. And then you'll be able to create a smooth shift without making a really, without making a real shifting sound, because we don't always want to hear whenever we shift to a new note. So that's all helped by not pressing down too hard and using this really important part of your body. So that's all I have for shifting, but I can go into even more depth if you want. So if you have any more questions about shifting or any other techniques you want me to talk about, then please do. I post these videos every Sunday. I'm not sure yet what next Sunday's video is going to be on, but it should be something useful anyway. So I hope you found this useful, and if you have any questions, please comment or message me on Instagram, and please be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more, and see you next time. Bye!